Guys, here we go. In this video, I am going to cover 10 tips on how to land and manage 10K websites on Squarespace. This is probably one of the questions that people ask the most when they're starting out. Is it even possible? And friends, I'm here to tell you it is. I have landed multiple projects over 10K, up to 15, even 20K on projects, with the main part of the project being a site on Squarespace. A lot of those projects around 8 to 12K were just a website. No design assets, no graphic design, nothing fancy beyond the website. And here in this video, I'm going to give you 10 tips, 10 core things to keep in mind that will help you excel to get to that 10K mark. Now, if you're just starting out, I do want to say this as just a note. I believe you'll get there. If you stick with it, you push forward, you will get there. But if you have never built a website before, this is not the first step. This is like step 8 or 9 in the process. So watch some of my other content about getting started, landing your first few projects, building expertise, which ultimately leads to building confidence, and go from there. But now you know it is possible. So right before we begin, there are a few myths that we need to break. Otherwise, you're not going to understand the content that I'm bringing. First and foremost, consider this. First myth. It does not have to be fancy or complicated. People think just because it's a higher price ticket, it needs to be complicated. That's not true. Second, it doesn't have to be a lot of work. Oftentimes, the client is a more sophisticated client and they're looking for something really easy, clean, with a great user experience. And that doesn't necessarily always translate to a ton of custom code or complicated sections or really fancy designs. Third myth, it does not have to win awards. Just because it's a higher price ticket item, it doesn't mean it has to show up in the grandeur of the best of design. When you solve a business problem that is worth it to the client, they will pay you generously. And finally, it doesn't have to take months to build. That is just another myth that a lot of people get complicated or twisted when they're starting out, because there's this definition, this underlining principle that to bring that level of value, you have to go through immense suffering or a lot of pain or a lot of toil and a lot of thinking for it to be worth that much. That is just not true. Okay, so I probably got you excited now. Let's walk through the 10 tips together. The one thing I'm gonna do is put my glasses on. I usually don't wear them because of the reflection, but I'm just gonna do it for today. So, first tip is this: confidence and pitch. When you have confidence and you know how to pitch your product, I'm not talking about trying to sell a person a pen who doesn't want a pen. I'm talking about understanding how to really sell the project to a client when they need it. This is something that will be so beneficial in the process. This is completely internal and 100% felt by the client. You want the client to know that they are in good hands. If you are unsure of how to solve problems or how to figure out website design or any of that, they're gonna question if they're in good hands. And paying more doesn't necessarily make sense at that point, because it's almost as if they're missing that type of consultation. I'll tell you this, when I landed my first 10K project, I did not know how to have confidence. I had a lot of fake confidence. It did help me over time, and some people call that fake it till you make it. But for me, I realized that I was really trying to act a lot bigger than I was. And at the end of the day, the client could see through that. Luckily, I had a really gracious client, and I still talk to that client today. But at the same time, I would highlight that the more confidence you bring in solving problems and knowing how to deal with issues and all of that, the client will understand that you are the expert. And consider this, the person who is willing to pay 10K for a project, just consider their mindset. They want someone to solve their problem. They don't want to be the one to solve the problem. They want to present the problem and get it solved by an expert. They don't want to be bombarded with a million little details or making 100 decisions. They want you to be able to do that for them. Now, that was the biggest one, but it leads us to number 2. So with confidence and a clear pitch, You also want to make sure you set clear expectations. Clear expectations on the project allows the client to understand what to expect from the beginning. The better you could set the tone for the project, the better the project is going to go. If you overpromise and underdeliver, it is going to be a disaster. But if you underpromise and overdeliver, it is going to be successful. So you want to set clear expectations. Really make sure you understand what the client wants from the beginning and that you could use those specific features, benefits of the platform and bring it to life for them. If you can't, or you don't think it's possible, or you think it's going to be really hard, clarify that with the client from the beginning. That way, everybody is on the same page. Now, let's go into actual website design. Number 3, we're going to talk about user experience. This just comes with experience. You get better at user experience the more you build sites and the more you see sites and the more you take all of that and put it together. You may have heard of the study before, but there was a study done where 50% of a classroom, I believe it was like a pottery class or ceramics class, 50% of the classroom was asked to make one perfect cup. The other 50% was asked to make as many cups as possible. At the end of the study, they found that the ones who went through the process repetitively, the ones who made as many cups as possible, actually made more perfect cups than the ones who just tried to make one perfect cup. So in this process, repetition brings progress. You want to go through the process a lot. You want to learn how user experience works and make it clean and simple. At the end of the day, you don't have to redesign the website structure. Logo top left, call to action top right, big banner image in the middle. You have a really beautiful site. These types of things are very essential. They're very clear. And if I've never visited your website before, I already understand the dynamics of it. And the key here is the better you understand user experience and you can match it to the business, that is optimal. Now, that's probably the one that sounds the most airy, but you'll see in my other videos and my other content, I really dissect what user experience looks like, feels like, and how you make a site beautiful, clean, and simple. Now, let's go back to the client experience and the client back and forth. Let's talk about communication. This is probably the biggest one that separates a freelancer and a business. And this is it: communication. The more you communicate, clearly guiding the client. In the first one, we talked about the client feeling safe with you, feeling that you have control of the project. One way you do that is through communication. You always communicate to the client so they are never guessing where they are in the process from beginning to end. So if they send something to you, you send them a reply back, received. Same thing when you're going to do some work and you're going to deliver it a week later, 2 weeks later, you let the client know when they're going to get it and what they should expect. Then when you deliver it, you tell them what you've delivered, you clarify it, you even record a Loom video to show them exactly what it is. And then from there, you tell them what the clear next steps are. You always prime them for where the project's going, where you're at, where it's going, where you're at, and where it's going. These things help the client feel confident that you have a clear path forward, that you're following a process, and that you're not making things up along the way, that they're going to get taken care of. So they don't have to guess. Again, you don't want them to have to think beyond answering the simple questions of what content do you want on your site, what pages are we building, those types of things. And see, going back to the myths, this is where people get it confused. They think they need a complicated website, but in reality, if you have someone who is willing and ready to pay you generously for a project and you take ownership of that project, well, then they don't have to worry about it. And if they don't have to worry about it, it is worth its weight in gold. Now, that's a point that a lot of people might misunderstand or misjudge and say, how dare you say that? You need to provide more value, blah, blah, blah. At the end of the day, providing value comes in many ways. Why do we spend $12 for a bottle of water at Disneyland when you could buy it down the street for less than $1? It's because the value it provides in the moment. Anyway, let me move on to the next point. The next point is this, and this is probably a big one that if you're just starting out and you've got this far in the video, this is something you should start immediately. Solve business problems. Don't stress about code problems. The more you could solve a business problem for the client, the better. Because at the end of the day, what are you doing? You're building a website to solve a business problem. So if that is the case, the more you understand the business problem, not just, hey, I need a website. Well, why do you need a website? Well, our current one doesn't work. Well, what doesn't work about it? Oh, it doesn't convert. What do you mean? Well, we get a lot of visitors, but nobody takes action on it. Okay, so then you're getting deeper into the business problem, and then you could dive deeper depending on what type of business it is, a consultant or a nonprofit or whatever type of business it is, hundreds of businesses, whatever type of business it is, you could then go deeper and solve this specific problem that they're dealing with. And next, this one's similar but different. Sell the vision, not the assets. Obviously, you're going to pitch, hey, I'll do a 5-page website, I'll do a 10-page website, whatever that is. Your proposal will detail that. But at the end of the day, you're selling a vision. This site will be your hub for all your visitors for this or that, so that when people come, they have a clear place to take action and make a call. Websites back in the day used to be very informational. Today, they're very directional. So we're going to give people a clear path to go from just learning about you to all the way to subscribing or signing up or buying your product or booking a consultation or whatever that might be unique to the business. The more you can give them a clear guide, sell the vision, how this site will be your hub to hold all this information, answer problems for you, answer future problems for you. Wow, you have just done the client a huge service. Don't get caught in the assets. Oh, I'm selling you a logo or there's 6 things. Again, that might be in the proposal. Actually, it should be in the proposal. But when you're on the phone with the client and when you're working with the client, you're selling a vision, not just little details. Should this go here? Should that go there? You're trying to sell a vision. Next, this one is the hardest. Keep it simple. It is so hard to keep things simple. And if you're selling your first 10K website, the automatic default is to make it complicated. The more it is simple and clear, effective, and the user experience is beautiful, easy to navigate, the more you will win. Simplicity is so powerful when it comes to website design. I have seen tons of beautiful websites that are gorgeous, that make no money, and I've seen websites that are simple and easy, make a ton of money. It's not a perfect formula, but at the end of the day, don't let the design be the determining factor that it's so complicated and fancy and has 20 colors and different shades and all these different features and animations be the reason the site is good. A site is good if it solves a business problem. A site is good if it really brings value to the customer, your client in this case, for their business, if they're selling to other businesses or if they're selling direct to consumer. Next, number 8, let's talk about this. Have your paperwork ready. This is what I mean. You should have everything in your process ready before the client comes. Now, if you're just starting out, it's a forcing function to move and get it up and running. You do want to make sure you have your email structure set up so you could always send updates to the client along the way. You do want to make sure that you have your proposal set up so that when you start the project, you're good to go. You do want to make sure you have your QuickBooks or PayPal set up so the client can pay you the right way. Also, if you're going to do checks or ACH payments, you want to make sure all of that is set up, because when you're taking a 5K payment on a debit card, you're going to get hit with a big fee. So you better understand how that works to communicate it with the client that you only take ACH payments or check payments for projects at this range. You don't want to be paying $300, $400, $800, $1,200 on a project in credit card fees. So be clear about this stuff, but you want to be clear by having the paperwork and your process already ready. Next, this is the one I think designers miss out on the most. I love processes for design. So when it comes to design, I have templates, pages that are already guided and ready for me so that when I get into Squarespace, I work quickly and efficiently. I'm not recreating the wheel every time. I'm not trying to redesign the future of websites when I build a site for a client. I am trying to solve a business problem for them that is clear, simple, effective, and really helps the client take the next step in their business. Have templates, have design pages ready, have things built out already that are there for you. Otherwise, you are bound to hate the process every single time you begin a new project. All right, so tip number 10. This one is so valuable, so important, but I kept it as number 10 for a reason. Tip number 10 is this: know the best customization tools out there, but also only use it if you need it. Don't use it just because it's cool and trendy. Use it if it really makes sense for the client. But know the best tools out there. There's a ton of free plugins. There's a lot of paid plugins. There's a lot of customizations that you might already know. There are customizations that maybe some developers in your community know. Any of those things, have those ready, or at least know how to access them, so that if you need them, you could easily just pay for them, use them, and make the site that much better. Personally, I also like having developers around me that I can message or hit up, pay per hour to do a bit of customization if I need it. I do not want to spoil this whole video with you thinking at the end, oh, you need this. This is not essential. Most of the websites I did not have this. But if you do need it, it is something that you could easily, okay, I'll pay $700 for this customization. It's a $10,000 project. I'm not going to stress $700, even though it's only one small section, but it's really going to bring this part of the site to life for the client. It's worth it. It's completely worth it. So know those resources in advance. And if you're looking for those resources, let me know in the comments below. There's a list of resources that we provide on our website, which you can see at the first link down below. And then beyond that, there's a ton of resources out there, a lot of developers and designers that I love doing amazing work in the Squarespace community that you can leverage. All right, so if you made it this far in the video, please hit that like button. It lets me know that you got value from this content. Plus, if you got value from this content and if you have any questions, drop a comment below. There's something special that happens in the community of all these videos where people are solving each other's problems and also cheering each other on as they take first steps to become a freelancer or a designer or land their first 10K project. With that, we drop content 3 times a week on this channel, so make sure you subscribe. And if you have any questions, again, drop them in the comments, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.